Let's talk about a VR mystery game that absolutely got under my skin, and I mean that in the best possible way.
Can you escape from here alive?
Not One Less is a psychological thriller escape room that feels like peeling back the layers of someone else's trauma. One puzzle, one whisper, one cryptic clue at a time. If you're into twisted narratives, creepy escape rooms, and puzzles that will actually make your brain sweat, stick around because you're not going to want to miss this one. So here's the setup. You're dropped into a first-person perspective in a world that's fractured. Reality feels like it's constantly changing. One moment you're piecing together bloodstained evidence in a dimly lit room. The next, you're deep in a cipher puzzle that makes you question everything you thought you knew about the storyline. What makes Not One Less stand out is the way that it tells this story. Not just through words and cutscenes, but it tells this story through the environment, through sound and creepy sound design, really good, through little things that you pick up that kind of seem meaningless but have a huge impact on the story or on your process in order to escape whatever it is, whatever part of the storyline you're on. So let's talk about the game mechanics. So it's not just your typical puzzle game where you're, just trying to put pieces together or trying to, solve a riddle or something like that. You have to find clues and then decipher what those clues mean in relation to the story, the part of the story that you're in. It's super well done. Sometimes you could be chased, sometimes you gotta stay quiet or hide, and sometimes it is just ridiculously creepy. I spent probably 3/4 of this game with my mouth open. The storyline keeps you on the edge of your seat. It's got creepy horror elements, it's psychological, it's cerebral. It's constantly changing, and you have to pay attention to remember all these little pieces so that you could put them together at the end of each kind of chapter. There's even a chapter, like a test at the end to figure out how much of the storyline you actually understood. If you didn't understand some of it and got some of the questions wrong on this, they call it the discussion phase, then it actually will tell you what it is you got wrong and explain the storyline that maybe you missed. It's a weird way to recap each kind of level. I've never seen it before in an escape room, and it works really well because there were some parts that I was a little confused. And as you're going through the discussion phase, it just kind of all becomes clear. And then your mind is like, what is happening? What is happening? So let's not even forget that this is a multiplayer escape room. You can have up to 7 players in co-op mode wandering around in this creepy frickin' escape room thing. Holy crap, creepy. Now, the bad. The game's not perfect. There are some spelling mistakes in the subbed translation. That's kind of common for these kind of subbed things anyway, but there is spelling mistakes. It is strictly teleport, which, not a huge fan of. I much prefer to just move around in my play space, especially with things like the roto chair where I can swing around and do whatever I want. I did play this on the roto chair, so I did have to teleport to where I was going, but you can freely move around with that thing, so that kind of helped because it is snap turning as well as teleporting. A little immersion breaking, not a deal breaker for me, not in this title anyway. There are a lot of cutscenes where it's like a storyline and there'll be news reels running by and people talking and videos you gotta watch, and the end is, oh my god, creepy. Very well done. It's more of an experience than it is interactive at the end, but it ties the whole story together, and I'm still awestruck. I don't generally play a lot of escape room games. I find them entertaining. Generally, I find them way too difficult. There are a couple puzzles on this one that are extremely hard, I found. Maybe you'll find them easy, but I found them very difficult. But this particular game, Not One Less, I actually finished. And I'm super glad that I did, because I've gone back into it probably 5 or 6 times now just to, make sure that I understood the story or, get that little bit of footage that I wanted to get. And this last time I was in there for maybe an hour and a half or something, just really exploring things. When it came to the end, I was just disturbed. You have to try this. It is so creepy. The other game-breaking issue or technical thing that I didn't like is the way that you interact with things. For example, there's one part of the game where you have to collect a whole bunch of different clues. I'm trying not to give too much away. You have to go to these clues and collect them, and I wish you could bend over and pick them up, like actually use the grip button and grab them. You don't do that. You simply hover over top of them and then grip button, and it just picks it up and puts it in your inventory. Kind of a VR mistake, if you ask me. I should be able to grab things, and you can't. So that's a little frustrating. Another example is there's a key that you have to use, and you pull up your inventory with your left hand and you can point at it with your right hand, and you can interact with all kinds of stuff that's in your inventory. You pull out the key and then you just pull the trigger, and then your hand kind of disconnects from your body and goes to the door and unlocks the door for you. Again, a little immersion breaking. I wish I could walk up to that and put the key in and turn it myself. As a VR, nerd, I think those kind of things are important. But other than that, I finished it. Like, I don't finish these games. But I was determined to find out the whole story and get to the end of this craziness. And I don't know how well I'm going to sleep tonight. It's going to be interesting. Hauntingly good. Very good narration. Dry when it needs to be, somewhat humorous. Creepy as hell when it needs to be like, holy shit, I'm being chased by something. It is terrifying. Very, very well done. It was a very much an emotional roller coaster on every aspect. Without giving too much of the story away, you're kind of playing this schizophrenic orphan, and the story breaks it down and explains what happens and why you become an orphan and the trauma that's involved with all of this. And then it skips ahead a few years and your personality evolves and the story just takes this turn, and it is dark, it's personal, it is gut punching. My mouth was hanging open the whole time. Like, I was like, what the is happening? Totally recommended. I don't know what else I can say. So that's it. The game's called Not One Less. Not one more, not one less. When you finish the game, you'll know what that means. All said and done, I would say it's probably 3 hours long, maybe a little longer if you really spent time. The third chapter, I believe it's the third chapter. You can really spend a lot of time in this. There's tons to uncover. Probably 3 hours, 3.5 maybe, of this decoding, deep diving into madness. Like, it's crazy. So if you're looking for something dark, looking for something thought-provoking, looking for something emotional, and something different than a game, this is more of an interactive experience, is I think I would call it. There's game elements to it, but it's really about the story and the characters in it and the build-up and the craziness that happens. Like, it is crazy. Let me know what you think. Is Not One Less on your radar? Have you even heard of it? If you haven't, maybe you will play it now. And if you do, come back and comment in the video because I'd love to hear what you guys have to say. Thanks for watching.
你闻到了吗？